Hey everyone, welcome back to Reading with Tatiana. Today I'm reviewing Second First Impressions by Thorne, and I gave this book a 2 out of 5. Before I go into my full book review, my Booktuber Shoutout today is to Her Story. I came across her channel recently and I love her style of mini vlogs. She actually has been on YouTube for a while, but she has recently switched her YouTube channel to more of a booktube focus. So if you want to check her out, I'll link her channel down below. And as always, before I go into my full book review, I'll always appreciate it if you can please hit the subscribe button. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you have read Second First Impressions or any of Sally Thorne's books, I'd love to hear it down below. This book was published just last year in 2021, and the genre I would put it in is contemporary romance. Sally Thorne is Australian, or I assume she is because she lives in Australia with her husband. She also raves about her pug called Delia. At the end of this book, she actually talks about how during COVID, she finally picked up this dollhouse as a hobby that she was working on, and over COVID and in the past few years she started adding more and more details to this dollhouse, and actually dollhouse has its own Instagram account. So if you want to check it out, it's called the Blackthorn Manor, which I'll put a screenshot right here if you want to check it out, and I thought it was really cool. Second First Impressions was also Sally's third published book, and she has a fourth one coming out pretty soon. She mostly writes in the romance genre. I also want to mention that one of her books, The Hating Game, actually has a movie adaptation, and if you know me, I love it when books become movies because it's really cool to see the story in two different types of mediums. The premise of this book is we meet Ruthie. She is 25, but she's going on 95, and she self-identifies as that. She works at a retirement community for old folks, and recently the property got bought out by these owners called PDC, and it's kind of like the gossip or rumors that it's going to get redeveloped into something else. Ruthie has had this job since she was 19, so her whole adult life, and she also lives on site in the retirement home. So she breathes her work. She is very straight, straight is the word, straight-laced. Like she is a reverend's daughter, and she had very traumatic childhood with a lot of guilt and shame in the way that she was raised. So she really has a very boring life that she is aware of. So basically this company buys out this retirement home property, and it's being reviewed to see what's the best use of this land. So most likely it's going to get redeveloped, and of course this is a romance. So the wealthy company who bought this land, there's the father, there's his daughter, and then there's the half brother of the daughter, Teddy, and of course he has long hair, he's tattooed, he seems like a bad boy, he's a tattoo artist, he rides a motorbike, and of course Ruthie is just head over heels over this god. So you can kind of see, I guess, where the conflict is, forbidden love, forbidden romance, and also very polar opposites attracting. In addition to Ruthie and Teddy, who are the two romantic protagonists, there's also a nice ensemble of characters. One that I really enjoy is Melanie, who is Ruthie's co-worker. And Melanie is a few years younger. She is a temp at the retirement facilities, and she is on a mission to help Ruthie become desired, have self-worth, and put herself out there for dating. So Melanie gives Ruthie puts her on a self-made 8-week program called the Sasaki Method. Sasaki is Melanie's last name, where she identifies what she wants in a partner, what she wants in life, how she can have a makeover, and how to have more confidence in herself. Two other characters I really want to mention is two sisters that live in a retirement community called Renata and Aggie. They're kind of hilarious, or kind of comedic relief, and they also hired Teddy as their assistant to help them around the retirement villa. Common themes I found in this book, one I mentioned earlier, is the idea of shame and guilt. In this perspective, in this book, that comes from religion and being a reverend's daughter, and just carrying that guilt into your adulthood. The other common theme I found with Ruthie's development is, just live for yourself, be selfish, don't always give, it's okay to take. And then also about balance of giving and taking. So this book covered a lot of those common themes, and I think that's something that we can all identify with when we live our day-to life, where we want to give to our family and friends, but sometimes we can't forget to take and be selfish. I gave this book a 2 out of 5, so there were a few things I didn't like. Rufy and Teddy are the protagonists, and they're the romantic lovers, but I just didn't like them. I didn't like them as individuals, I didn't like them together, and I felt the romance was, like, this book is obviously a subgenre of polar opposites attract, but it was hard for me to buy, and they tried to justify Teddy acts the way he is, and I perceive it as a narcissist, but they try to justify it in the book, say it's because of his upbringing and how he wants to prove himself because he was a love child in his father's previous marriage that ruined the previous marriage. But I just feel like that doesn't justify his behavior and the way he talked about himself and thinking he's God's gift to women. Even though he kind of like jokes about or say it kind of cheekily, I just am really turned off when people even like say things like that. I also didn't like the side characters, Renata and Aggie. There were this older sisters I mentioned earlier that live in the retirement community. I think they're supposed to act as a comedic relief in this romance, but I feel like they're just rich people that are just like drunk on their power to be rich and can pay to get things done for them. I can see how it could be quirky, but I kind of read it as they're just being rude and disrespectful to people around them. One character I did like, which made me like the book, was Melanie, which was Rufy's co-worker at the retirement villa. She was just such a cheerleader, and she was kind of like she had comedic relief in the book that I really enjoyed. And without giving the ending, I also like the ending of the sister's story, Renata and Aggie. So you have to read the book to find out. On Goodreads, this book got an average of 3.59 out of 5. I don't think that's very accurate. I think people who are romance readers love this book. People who weren't like me gave it like just an okay review. So reasons why people don't like it is this, as I said earlier, this is Sally Thorne's third book. And I think her first book, Hating Game, which became a movie adaptation, was really popular, and this didn't live up to lots of her fans' expectations. People also thought the idea of retirement villa being bought out for redevelopment, and then the romantic interest of Teddy and Rufy was too specific and not relatable, which I can agree. And one thing people also didn't enjoy, which I'm glad that people picked up on, because sometimes I feel like maybe I'm too just sensitive towards this, was the lack of boundaries between the protagonists and just not respecting her space. And I just didn't like that, but he kept doing it and kept trying, and it came up as quirky. It's because of his past and his personality that eventually she gave in and fell in love. Reasons why people did like it was they thought it was a quick, easy read, especially for a rainy day, and people were swooned by Teddy, the love interest, and people also loved the cast of quirky characters. Why I think you should read this book: I think you should read it if you're a fan of contemporary romance and when there's just a lot of quirkiness and you like quirky characters. Yeah. Now I'll share how this book made me feel, because I always like to ask people if they recommend a book is how it made them feel, because if you ask me in a week, a year, 5 years from now, I probably won't remember what a book is about, but I'll also remember how it made me feel. So this book, even though I gave it 2 out of 5, at the end, it didn't make me feel cozy. Like, I guess one thing about these books, like I knew going in it was going to be a happy ending, and it did wrap up a bit too quickly and maybe could have been fleshed out in a few more chapters, but in the end, I felt cozy. And you know, I gave it a 2, but it's still worth a read if you want something easy to read. Thank you for watching until the end of my review of Second First Impressions by Sally Thorne. If you read this book, I'd love to hear what you thought down below. If you want to join me next time, I am reading The Road by Cormac McCarthy. And for this book, I'm interested to read it because I actually watched the movie first, I think a year or 2 ago, so it'd be cool to see what it was based off of. Thank you for watching until the end, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!